Okay, so we're back on. Knowing that timing is critical to this 450,000 square foot manufacturing user, could you address timing and how you've tackled timing issues with other companies coming in, building in the park, and maybe give some examples? Lance, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. This Tahoe Reno Industrial Center has a history of expediting the building of industrial product here in the marketplace. I can give you a list of companies that have achieved build-out and occupancy within the 180-day window. I can even introduce you to companies that have done it in less time. For example, Hardy Building Products, it took them 120 days to get a CFO. Walmart did a full 1 million square feet in less than 180 days.
Now on Hardy, that's a good one because that's a similar manufacturing user and a very large user. Rail served the works. 120 on the construction side, right. And then the permit side. What additional time there, just from start to finish? Well, when they walked in and gave you building permits, how long did that take?
Took 30 days to get the building permit.
Okay.
120 days to build out the facility.
Okay. So 5 months done.
I can tell you that they were running the power across the street and grading before we finished the contract negotiations with the attorneys.
Okay.
So literally the company was on a fast track coming out of California and had a problem over there and delays. So literally they came over here, got in negotiations with me with the contract, but knew they were going forward,
right.
Ran their power in, did their grading, and were in their building within 120 days.
So did you do a letter of reimbursement to kick all that off, or were you just doing that knowing that eventually someone was going to be there, and you just jumped the gun?
No, we could get it done.
Okay, got it.
But I can also take you through, we built a full power plant, try that in the United States, 400 megawatts. And that was done in 180 days here in Story County. Walmart did 1 million square feet in less than 180 days.
Okay, there's an emissions component to the power plant as well.
Huge.
Yeah, so how did you address that in 120 days or 180 days?
They went through the PUC, and I had to work with them on the PUC because there was at that time they needed a special use permit, and they got that special use permit, and then they got the PUC letter of intent for the air emissions, and they worked that concurrently while we were building the building.
Okay.
And it only took them on that power plant only 3 months to get that permit. So when we're saying we started construction, we started power out of that plant within that 180 days.
Okay.
They were out. And the James Hardy was the same thing. They came here, looked at us, went over and bought some land in Elk Grove, submitted their plans, got $11 million worth of exactions added onto their permit, came back and had already applied for federal rebates that they had a 2-year window. And that 2-year window, they had less than 180 days to meet that. They had to be in production.
Yeah.
Not only did we build that building, we had them in production within 180 days, 120 days, and they were starting production rolling out the door.
And how big was that building?
That building was 480,000 square feet.
Got it.
And since then, they've added another 300,000.
Okay. Any other example? You got James Hardy, the power company. Who else came in here on a tight time frame that needed to?
One of the big buildings that was on a tight time frame is the PetSmart building. Seafree Properties did it out of Atlanta, Georgia. That was a 15-year lease building, and we did that within 180 days. And that's one where we were building the building at the back end and still moving dirt and filling in the front end.
So that one, 180 days, they gave you a permit, and 180 days later. So that's not construction. That's permit, approval, construction, everything, and then they're okay. And then they're functioning 180 days later.
Now let me explain to you how we do that. Sometimes I got Santa huts in there for their employees to work in because we're still building the front office and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Companies that come in that we call fast track that need to get their operation up and operating, we will come in and put the necessary units in there for those employees that they need to get working because they need to get their equipment in there, they need to get startup on their equipment, and they need to get product run out on their equipment. So we might still be working on the part of that building, their offices or some of the back part where we're putting the other equipment in and operating them. And what I do is I separate that with what we call a snow fence. And so the company might be working here and having their employees working here, even training. Walmart, I had them in 2 months ahead of time training their 600 employees in part of that building before we even finished it because they needed the area and they wanted to train them on their forklift and their process. So we work out with the companies that come in, and we work their timeline, and we set up reasonably and use common sense to get them working.
Okay, and then PetSmart was 900,000? What were that, 800?
928,000.
928,000 footer in 180 days.
Yep, and they had to put, what was unique in Walmart, 50,000 square foot of it was just fish, tropical fish DC. And we had to have that tropical fish and all those tanks and all that processing equipment in place and conditioned. It had to go through a 30-day condition that the water and stuff, so they could have the fish come in, and they did that. So we were conditioning before that 180 days and had tropical fish coming in on the 180th day.
Got it. Okay.
So
So,
let's circle back
yeah, go
just
ahead.
a minute, Dave. I want to tie into that. The developer has already installed all of the roadways, all the arterials, and all of the infrastructure is already in place in front of the sites that they would purchase. So there's no holdup whatsoever in tying into sewer and water and power and gas, and all of the various elements are there today, finished and complete.
And then the architecture review, the approval process, through the developer,
Yes.
that's all you. So if you like it,
Except
boom,
for the
gone.
building permit. That's correct.
Right. So everything is approved through you. The building permit's approved through Dean.
Yes.
30 days through Dean. Fairly immediate through you,
And
Lance.
everything is outlined in the development agreement. So it's pretty simple to go through the CCNRs and development agreement and know exactly where you are.
So
we have pre-approved. And
So bottom line, do you have any concerns? Say somebody gave you approval May 1, kicked you off with plans May 15th. How long do you think it would take to get in?
You would be in before the end of the year. I could be July 1 starting, and I can have you in that building before the end.
Now you got to select the
Okay.
right contractor, David. Right.
Yeah. I understood.
There's a contractor out there
Yeah.
that's the deal.
Yeah,
David,
right.
Let me tell you something else.
Yeah, we'll interview them later, but yes.
That's unique in Story County is we can create a custom parcel for you and record it in less than 10 days. So if you need your parcel cut to fit yours, they can come in, no hearings, nothing. Goes through my review, goes through the assessor, goes up to the recorder's office to be recorded.
Yep.
So we can adjust your parcel, what you need to fit your footprint of your building,
Yep.
and we can do that in 10 days, and we have
I
done
think we put them right in here, Dean. This is where Fulcrum is. I think that probably this site has the rail already in place and plenty of expansion property. That's probably exactly. What
And how big is that building you've got mocked in there?
David, I think that the building is roughly 1 million feet that we have mocked in there.
Okay, got it. All right.